Hello, YouTube. There's really interesting shit going on KTAR right now about AI.
And AI has the capacity to say, that's a possible fight that's going to, it's weird.
It's going to work. It's like what we talked about with, they want to use AIs to fight forest fires in a way where AI can not predict, but it can pick up immediately when something takes place that ends up being a fire, and you can get out there and stop it sooner, where human beings aren't going to be able to.
Yeah. All right, let's do a fun one next. What do you think?
All right, I like fun.
Should a Valley politician be fired for letting a registered sex offender stay at home?
That does sound like fun.
Stay at her home.
More fun stuff.
It's really fun. Can't wait. Next.
So I think that would have been a pretty interesting segment, but I didn't catch how it started. I just barely turned the radio from a played out song on a classic rock station and landed on that. So it's Wednesday, September 6th, 3:42 p.m. Oh yeah, I'm heading in at 4 o'clock again. I probably need to stop making a habit out of this, but last night, I'm just really paranoid about driving tired since that tire I punctured. Last night I just did not sleep well. Just kept waking back up and waking back up. At one point I tried to keep myself occupied editing some of my blog video, and and that kept me up for quite a while, and then about 2 hours before it was time for me to actually get up and start getting ready for work, then I felt myself completely sleepy and tried to take a nap, and that's when I finally got some deep sleep. Like I actually had some REM sleep, had some super bizarre dreams involving AI-controlled, self-propelled chairs. I'm not even going to try to explain that. They were pretty neat and pretty frustrating all at the same time. Another one of the weird recurring themes in my dreams that happens often, and that's large, dense, largely enclosed cities where several people were trying to squat in places where they're not supposed to, but they're homeless, so what they gotta do. And I can't recall if I was one of the persons squatting or not, or if I was just hanging out with people who do. And then a YouTuber musician that I follow, who's blown up and got super famous, and I'm forgetting her name right now. I know the name of the channel is, and her username on Reddit is Nini Music. She's Taiwanese. And I used to follow her when she had very, very few followers, at times where she would do, before she was on YouTube, when she would do a stream on Reddit, and it wasn't unusual for there to be less than 30 people watching, and I was one of those 30 people. She used to respond to messages I would send her. Not like I'd send her a whole lot of messages or anything. I'm not a flood somebody's inbox kind of person, but she used to regularly respond to messages that I'd send her on Reddit. So not too surprising that she would show up in a dream of mine, but I'm kind of bewildered as to what that was, what's going on in my mind that triggered that, because it was very odd in the way she was featured in the dream. And just for the record, it was absolutely nothing sexual, at least not involving me. And yeah, I honestly, I haven't thought about her in quite a while. She does occasionally pop up in my YouTube feed, and sometimes I check it out, but at this point I'm not, kind of with the way my lifestyle is these days, I'm not really listening to hardly any music on YouTube or any other kind of internet streaming service, so, you know, like social media type platforms. So yeah, I'm not really able to play her, and unfortunately she doesn't get play on any of the satellite stations that I listen to when I'm moving the cars. Although, for the record, if I was ever listening to an SXM station and something of her popped up, I would be absolutely ecstatic and crank it up. Anyway, the relevant thing wasn't how weird my freaking dream was, or the fact I still remember large chunks of it, which is odd in and of itself, but the fact that I try to take just a little nap because I'm feeling drowsy a couple hours before work, to the point that I get full on REM sleep. Well, when my alarm actually woke me up on time, I'm just like, no, there's no way I'm going into work right now. I'm so drowsy. I'm most likely going to forget to bring stuff when I go to work, because I shouldn't even go to work like that. And granted, I used to battle that at Amazon sometimes, not nearly as bad though as I battle it with this, and I think I've just, my thing is I've always been a nocturnal person, always, like stay up all night nocturnal, not work till 10:30 p.m. at night nocturnal. It's not the same thing. And it's not like 2 p.m. is a time I should struggle getting to work, but God, it has been the last couple of days. There's 24th Street Station with AC just suddenly getting completely ineffectual after it had been really good all the way to here. Oh, they still don't have that road open. They still don't have a street sign up giving it a name. There's a sign that says Buckeye Road, and where the sign would be that would give that street a name, it just has one of the yellow and black dead-end signs with an arrow pointing that way. Which I assume that sign's going to go down because it doesn't look like it's going to be a dead end when it's all reopened and finished. So really nothing much to say other than I'm now over 6 weeks behind at posting my vlog. And as I'm looking at all the video I have shot that covers those 6 weeks, the chances of me ever remotely catching up, at least proceeding to edit stuff the way I'm editing it, is slim to none. Now, I'm kind of considering just doing a big dump like I did of the stuff when my daughter was in the hospital last. And that wasn't done really as an effort to catch myself up, although I did just skip a whole lot of editing, and believe me, that would have been an insane amount of editing. That was done because my iPhone 6S was stolen. I had nothing to edit it with. Now granted, I did lose a day. Yeah, and that's certainly been a contributing factor in me getting so behind when I'm posting this vlog, is mishaps on my phone. Dead screens, missing phone, well shit, I have no battery. By the time the battery's charged up, I'm asleep. And that's happened enough times, you know, over the last couple of months that it's really added up. And the most recent one being that my iPhone 7 has died. Now, I know I touched on that yesterday, but I think I got so sidetracked on the story about getting frustrated with trying to get the price that was displayed next to the sliced cheese at Fry's. I got so sidetracked on how frustrated I was with that experience with the app. And I never even fully finished that story. I don't know even how I'm gonna handle that when I go to put the vlogs together. But, yeah, I got so sidetracked that I never think I fully explained what happened with the phone. So what happened with the iPhone 7 Plus, when I went out last Sunday night, I went by Starlight Lounge, and as I was walking up to see what the sign that was posted on the door said, since they were pretty obviously not open, it slid out of my hand and just violently hit the ground, smashed. It was still working perfectly fine after that. Fucked up the screen really good in terms of cracks and stuff on it, but it was still 100% fully functional. Well, now the phone is not functional whatsoever, and interestingly enough, I saw somebody in the iPhone 6S Plus post something yesterday about the exact same problem with the 6S Plus. He called it a boot loop. Basically, when you plug it in, it goes to the very first boot screen where the screen is white with a black Apple logo on it, and it stays there for a few seconds, and then it goes completely black. And then that comes back on, and it goes completely black, and it just keeps repeating that, and repeating that, and repeating that, and never booting. And where that affected me putting shit out of my vlog, and that's how it is. I tried plugging it in yesterday. It's doing the same thing. So whatever. There's something internally wrong with it, or something severely wrong with it at a software level. One way or the other, the phone is kind of fucked. Can it be fixed? I don't know. Maybe. Hello and welcome back, YouTube. Well, I'm finally getting to my lunch break, and by finally I mean it's 8:13, and I usually try to leave for my lunch break right around 8. Got kind of awkward. Not only is it a lot slower today, but Anthony and Tracy are back, rolling as a team. Nothing against angry, I just said angry. Nothing against Anthony or Tracy, but Anthony's kind of an angry elf tonight. Yeah, I just had a kind of a moment with him, and he kind of snapped. And I'm thinking that maybe that's like when I'm upset about shit. And other people just are like, why is Dan even upset? And just roll their eyes at me and move on. It's probably the same thing because little Anthony was all kinds of bent about where I was plugging in a Chevy Bolt. And mind you, there was space available for that Chevy Bolt. So I was plugging it in there. Oh, you know, but he's got the high-pitched funny dwarf voice, by the way. Sometimes it's hard to take seriously. You know, plug him in there, over there. Like, but it's like, he didn't even want a second to even hear my explanation of why I was doing what I'm doing, because I'm the kind of person that everything I do it for a very extremely logical reason. What the fuck is going on here? I didn't expect construction here, and I was worried for just a moment that this detour was going to direct all traffic into the rental car return lanes, which is not where I'm trying to go. Of course, the question is, where am I trying to go? Somewhere to get some food. I need to try to find a grocery store because the cats are out of wet food, and they're very unhappy about just getting kibble all the time. They're not starving, you know, so they can cope. Better stop, car on the right, you got a red light. This corner always kind of trips me out because this is where Sky Harbor Way used to be Mojave, and every time I hit this alignment, in my mind's eye I can still see what was here and the neighborhood that was here and the original stub of a freeway that connected to I-10 that went overhead here. It always kind of overwhelms my mind. So much so I forgot what the hell I was talking about. Oh, yes, the angry elf. So, oh, and I put it there. Well, okay. And to be fair, it's probably not going to die there. And if it does, it's close enough. Charger cords can reach it there where he told me to put it. So I'm not trying to butt heads. Obviously, he has seniority over me on all things electric vehicle, but I was putting it there as a maintenance driver who is cross-trained in electric, dealing with a maintenance vehicle issue. The vehicle is marked for detail. I forget what the issue was with detail, whether it was smoking or dog hair, or I don't know, something where they're charging a detail surcharge on it. It had the dollar sign on it. And it was coming over from dollar sign, it was coming over from dollar. As I mentioned, I was like way on the other side. That's why I'm starting my lunch break so late. I found myself like over at the Dollar Thrifty area actually talking to oh my goodness, I forget her name. I think it's Mia, the 57-year-old black woman who looks way too young, vibrant, and attractive to be 57. I like her. She's cool as fuck. Anyway, Anthony, supervisor Anthony, rolled by and was like, hey, can you get me right over there? He goes, well, not immediately, but I told him it's my lunch break. Anyway, he went down the ramp over to the dollar area and to an area where sometimes cars get stashed under the ramp, and found a maintenance car. But it just so happened that it was a Chevy Bolt, which ordinarily wouldn't make any difference to how I handle it as a maintenance car. It's marked for whatever it's marked for. It's marked for detail, some kind of detail issue, and I take it and put it where detail's at. It looks like, speaking of which, it looks like detail shut down for the night. Oh, my camera's freaking out again. Good times. So here we go through this problem again. So hopefully I'm audible over the sound of the camera shaking, and this isn't a complete waste. But all right, Dan Vlog Psychedelic Edition. So hold that thought. This camera still works. Yeah, you guys can like be way too close to my eyes as I drive in the dark. So as I was saying, God, my phones are just all taking a shit on me right now. As I was saying, Anthony, Supervisor Anthony, not to be confused with Angry Elf Anthony, took me downstairs, found a car that was a Chevy Bolt, needed to go to detail. Generally speaking, if it's going to detail, as an electric vehicle, that's completely irrelevant. However, once I got it to detail, I looked at the dash and realized it was throwing all kinds of warnings, which I have yet to see on a Chevy Bolt before until today. All the help, I'm gonna be all out of power, I'm gonna be dead. Because unlike gasoline vehicles, where if you run them out of fuel, you just, go get a gas can and pour some gas in it, start it up, and go on with your day. Don't get me wrong, that's a big inconvenience. It's better to just put gas in the tank before you run out of gas. But with an electric vehicle, it becomes a whole nother ordeal. The way that generally gets handled on the lot, it hurts, which I find quite hysterical, is they usually... Wow, these corners are so empty now. I'm at 24th Street and Broadway, and I'm looking around, and where there used to be really questionable and sketchy convenience stores and rental fourplexes, I'm seeing a load of vacant lots. So apparently someone's working on some urban renewal through here. Wow, I have not come through here in a long time. And unfortunately it's dark, so I can't really see what's going on. But it's one thing I really miss about being a cab driver, is being in all different parts of the city and seeing how it goes through its changes everywhere. I mean, there's places I go through all the time, I see things change, but it's been a while since I've been through 24th Street and Broadway. By the way, I think I'm headed to, at this point after the run-in with the Angry Elf, I'm not in a huge hurry to get back from my break, but I'm going to try to head over to the Target at 24th Street and Baseline and see if I can get some wet food for the kitties over there. So anyway, as I was saying, yeah, I was getting all these warnings of it's going to be dead, it's going to be dead. And when an electric vehicle dies like that because somebody completely ran the battery out on the road, generally speaking, they're calling a tow truck. You don't jump start it. You don't bring it some fuel. You just tow it to a charging station. And that's why a lot of people aren't interested in electric vehicles, because that can be very problematic. And the fear that that's going to happen before you can find a place where you can plug in and charge, there's actually a term for that, because it's been going on for long enough for there to be a term for that. It's called range anxiety, and it's very much a thing with electric scooters as well. Usually range anxiety isn't something I have to worry about, but it can become a problem when you get into that 4% or less range on the batteries, because unlike gas vehicles, when you shut them off and they cease to consume gas, electric vehicles, when they're shut off, are still consuming electricity. They still have idle processes they're going. It's just like your cell phone. When you shut it off and it, had 20% on the battery, and you put it somewhere and then you kind of forget about it, and then you go back to power it up, it doesn't power up because it completely died while idling. Same thing with electric vehicles, other than you can always pick up your phone and put it in your pocket, take it to a charger, whereas with an electric vehicle, moving it can be problematic. Now, it's not a huge deal, especially something as light as a Chevy Bolt, but usually the vehicles I see being moved around because they're dead are the Tesla 3s, and they do them with these little electric go-kart type vehicles. They'll just push them. They'll just get behind them and push them. It's kind of funny to watch, but I'm trying to prevent that happening as much as possible, because when they die, they end up being in the way of whatever I'm trying to do or whatever anybody else is trying to do. I'm not trying to leave a dead electric vehicle in the staging area for the guys that do detail, especially after they're done for the night and aren't even going to be there to deal with it. I'm not leaving that for the morning detail person. That's not cool. So once I got there and I realized that the battery was that dead, I'm just like, well, let's see if there's an available charger in the charger banks over here in the downstairs on the Hertz side. And I saw one in a place that I have been using. I've been pretty much running the electric vehicles since Friday, actually since like Wednesday night. But the last 2 days it's been busy as fuck, and that's been my primary theme. And I've been the only one doing it. So I've kind of taken ownership of that stuff. Now, Anthony's back, and that is his stuff. By Anthony, I mean Angry Elf Anthony. And that's fine, and I'm not trying to steal any of his thunder or get in the way. And yeah, the other Anthony's like, oh yeah, he gets angry. He feels you're stealing his work. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just, you know, on the same token, I'm not gonna walk by a charger that's got a blinking red light and pretend I didn't see it, because now I know how to deal with that. So anyhow, let's see how we do this here. Awkward, but doable. These security things are such a thing now. Security cameras in less than great neighborhoods, little blinky lights on them. Anyway, I roll up to one of the spots that I've been using as a charging bay, where there's a charger. Obviously, it's designated as a charging bay. And Anthony starts flailing his funny little arms around and yelling, "We don't put them there, put there, put there." And he's saying there. I hate it when people say to put things there, and then it's dark and I can't see where there even is. Now he did say behind that car. Ooh, looks like they're closed. Maybe there's another door open. Anyway, I parked behind the other vehicle. It was kind of logical where he was referring to, but I sure couldn't tell from his words. And just put it there, put it there, put it there. So it's not charging. It's close enough to cords. If it does absolutely completely die from idling, like it can be dealt with without somebody having to come and push it. So that's the important thing. But yeah, it was just kind of funny to watch him snap over that. And again, like I'm handling a maintenance car, and I probably wouldn't have left it there to fully charge either. My goal with the thing would have been to just, you know, get it up to like 15-20% and then move it over to detail. And at some point I might do that, because I think I'm staying later than Anthony tonight anyway. Yeah, I finished up at Fry's. That took a little longer than it should have, because the cashier lines are super long. And by cashier lines, I mean the self-checkout. There was only one cashier line. And it wasn't the speedy checkout 10 items or less line either. In fact, whatever happened to that line? I don't think it even exists anymore. Because I only had 3 items. I was looking for that lane, but no, didn't see it. Didn't even see like where it would be to be opened if it was open. See, I just got a little, I usually buy these things, but my little protein. Oh, here, camera here. Yeah, like you can see that. Whoa, I just dropped nuts on my nuts. Yeah, one of those little protein packs of like nuts and dried cranberries and chunks of cheese. Really good, by the way. It wasn't a bad deal. It was like $1 and a dime. Normally I don't buy that kind of stuff, but I actually really enjoyed this one. I would get this one again. And in Arizona, it's kind of wanting the Arizona iced tea, but they're all out of it in the cold coolers. I got one of their watermelon coolers, and I love those. And of course, big box of cat food. That's what I mainly went there for. But yeah, at one point they opened another line, and I'm just there chatting with the guy about, you know, hey, whatever happened to the express line for people that are only buying like 5 or 10 items. And he was just buying like a bouquet of flowers, probably his girlfriend's birthday or something, you know. Certainly he should have been in that line as well. Meanwhile, we're all waiting for self-checkout kiosks because there's just so many people using them. The store was busy. At one point, another register opens up, and this one guy walked right up to it, and he just had a couple items, so, you know, no problem. And then this other guy who had just come up, like I've been waiting for a bit, just come up with a huge cart full of groceries, just pushes right in front of me and gets into that line. I'm looking at him, just kind of giving him that look, and he's just like oblivious to me. I'm thinking, man, what a fucking asshole, or how much of an asshole are you? I have 3 items, and look at me, I'm like in a safety vest and a reflective hat. Like, obviously I'm on a break from work. Why are you gonna do that to me, you dick? Anyway, I walked back to the line for the self-checkout, and the guy that was behind me, of course, just let me right back where I was, because I was at the front of that line at that point. And he even commented about what a dick the guy with the big cart of groceries was before I even said a thing about it. Anyway, that was my Fry's adventure. I know, so exciting. Anyway, as I was driving back, it occurred to me that from here, it probably would have actually been quicker for me to drive to the Fry's in downtown Phoenix, but maybe next time. Well, I need to hit a grocery store with the quickness during my lunch break. Anyway, I'm actually getting back here right on time. It's 8:45, so thanks for joining me on my lunch break.